The truth is, disease is reversible, and this truth is now coming to the forefront with the work many scientists are doing, relying on the strengths of the ancient practices of India, and one of them is Dr. Khader Wali. Inspired by his work, people are now questioning the verdict of being condemned to live with lifelong medicine. They are taking their health in their own hands and charting the paths to freedom from medicine. Listen to one story here, and thank you, Dr. Khader, for the inspiration and knowledge.
And I was like, I didn't even know what does it mean at that point. So all I knew was I was told that, okay, now for the rest of your life, you have to take a medicine every day. Other than that, no big deal. I mean, everything is fine. I mean, it's a very common thing. So, and for me, I mean, I never used to take any medicines at that point, and I was, very young and everything. So, but anyway, I accepted it and started taking that medicine. Started with about 50 micrograms. So 50 mcg is what the dosage was prescribed to me. And it became a habit. Every morning, I mean, I would start my day by popping in, medication, I mean, a medicine of thyroid, like for almost 25 years. And every year I used to get myself tested because that's what the doctor told us. So, and over time, I mean, if anything, it was just dosage kept increasing, right? So it went from 50 to around 60s and then 70s. And then I think it went into up to 80s. And then it finally went up to 112 mcg, micrograms. At that point, it just happened to be like this was in, so 112 kind of stayed for a few years. And then in 2019, I was, somebody introduced me to, the concept of whole foods. And, like to me, Whole Foods was just the Whole Foods, the store. I didn't know anything about other than, the Whole Foods as a concept. And so, there was a doctor that introduced us and told us that about, how we, our bodies are so capable of fixing all kinds of illnesses. And, like if, we are, there are so many people who have cured themselves of cancer and all kinds of diseases. So I got interested in it and I started reading up on it. And, realized that, like if you have heard of this great physician Hippocrates, right? He mentioned like that, let food be thy medicine. And, and that let your food and let your medicine be thy foods, right? So that was the concept that if you, but of course, when you go to the doctors, I mean, nobody talks about food per se, saying, that if you eat right, I mean, that things that you can have a healthier, body and everything. So around 2019 is when I had started reading up on it and what is good, what is not good, and things like that. And I mean, fortunately, that is exactly the time when Dr. Khader came to the US. And it was just a blessing in disguise because, I was reading up on it and I was trying to figure out all these things. And right then he showed up and, started talking about, I mean, I didn't even know who he is and everything at that time.
Yeah.
All I knew was he's called the Millet Man of India, and somebody told me, hey, you need to listen to this because I know you care about what you eat and all that and things like that. So that's when hearing Dr. Khader, and then they joined me to this the WhatsApp group in Houston, where there were links being shared in terms of his previous videos and all that. So I started listening to those. And I felt so convinced, because he explained in so much detail of like why he's suggesting millet and how he's not saying that millet is like a medicine, that meaning like it's not like a medicine that you pop in and that it just fixes your specific illness. It's about holistically fixing you. So that, which means, I mean, it's not like a thing that is only for a specific disease, but I mean, it's like you are setting your system to where the system can fix itself, right? So your body can fix itself, and you're providing it the appropriate environment for that. So So yeah, so those that was, and to me, I used to, I mean, until then, I was, being from the north part of India. I mean, for me, like eating wheat rotis, like was like, I would eat 3 times a day. I mean, like that's really the staple diet, right? So parathas, rotis, I mean, everything. I mean, like that was the main food for me. And when I heard him, he was like, yeah, I mean, that we should avoid wheat, and why we should avoid wheat, and we should also even rice as an example. I mean, like where he was like, okay, you shouldn't eat rice, which was not like something that I ate every day, but still quite a lot. And so I was convinced, and my family and I started looking for options of like, where do I get this good millet from? And then luckily we had a store in Houston, so we ordered some little bit of millet, and I said, let me try it. And so we then started eating the millet, and and started like, basically in my diet, I made the change at that point. I mean, at that point, I was not even thinking about thyroid or anything. I was just like, he's suggesting this is healthy, so this will help me be healthy. So I started eating the different millets on and off. I mean, it was like, okay, some days I'm eating oats, some days I'm eating, millet, and some days I'm eating quinoa. So, okay, so this is one other thing I can introduce to my diet. But then as I heard more about his lectures, I mean, we realized that, yeah, I mean, like he's kind of like, he has given a protocol for different kind of things. And I was like, I mean, after doing this for some time, and what I did was, during that period, I gave up on some of the things that he mentioned, like wheat, like rice, or wheat used to be like very sparingly eaten. Rice, I gave up. Then I stopped eating processed sugar, and then, processed foods. So I did all these things. I mean, like where I started eating more home cooked food and things like that. And I mean, not that we were not eating that before, but I used to still eat all these chips and all that, on and off, and bars and all those. So I stopped taking all of those things which are, that come in bars. Or even if I'm eating chips, I would look at the content and make sure it's only like pure 2 or 3 contents before I would eat. So I was improving my knowledge, and as I started doing that, I actually, I mean, it's not like I'm overweight, but I lost 6 or 7 pounds. And my family was like, hey, whatever you're doing is not right, because it's not like you're, as it is, thin, and now you're losing more weight. I mean, and my mom was especially like, oh, you're becoming weak. And I was like, no, I'm feeling stronger. Actually, I feel more active.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, 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 I mean, wheat, I mean, how can you say? I mean, we have eaten this all our life. And they were like, no, no, you have to eat wheat rotis. I mean, this is our are you telling me that all these years that that we are doing the wrong thing and all that? But I was like, no, I was so convinced with the explanation, that I continued. And as I started feeling better, then I just thought, like, you know what, I mean, let me give it a try. I mean, like he's I mean, I'm already feeling so much more energetic, and so much better. And of course, at some point my weight stabilized. I mean, I lost a few pounds, but then it stabilized again. And so at that point I thought, let me give it a try on, like, trying to fix my thyroid. And the thing is, I mean, the good thing is that Dr. Khadar had given a very clear mechanism of how you want to fix your pre-existing conditions. It's not like you suddenly stop taking the medicines. I mean, whether you are taking diabetes medicine or blood pressure medicines or thyroid medication. So he had suggested that, yes, you start taking millets, but do it gradually. And he clearly said that in one of his videos. I mean, I don't remember which one of those videos he mentioned. And then get yourself tested, like every few months,
Yeah.
like maybe every 2 months or 3 months or something like that.
Yeah.
So I thought, yeah, I mean, like, okay, I can try that. And like, if I were to ask my doctor, they wouldn't approve it.
Yeah.
So if I were to talk to my family, they wouldn't approve it either. So I just decided, you know what, I mean, let me just give it a try. Why not? So I used to take at that point, as I said, 112 micrograms. So
Yeah.
what I decided suddenly, like, and I noted down the date. I mean, it was in 2019, mid 2019, about July 2019. I started taking that medication. I started basically breaking that into half, right? So I mean, those medicines can be broken, physically into two pieces. So I used to then start eating half every day.
Mm.
So and so clearly at that point, I was supposed to go and check myself in about 3 months or so, but I continued for almost to 6 months. And then after 6 months, when I went to the doctor, I always, it was my annual checkup, and I was very keen to see my thyroid results.
Mm.
And the good thing is, my doctor, I told her honestly that, yeah, this is what I've done. I mean, but let's see the result. And the results were within range, meaning I had a TSH of about 2, and it went to about 3.4. So it is still within range. I mean, the range is, I think it's up to 4.5 is a range that is considered normal.
Okay.
So she was like, oh, okay, so you are now taking about 60 whatever, like 66 mcg. So let's put you on 75 mcg now. So I'm like, no. I mean, I was like, okay, fine. So she prescribed a medication for 75, and then she said, okay, let us try this, and then you come back in 2 months, and we'll test you again. But so she prescribed it, but I never went and picked up my medication. And what I decided at that time is, you know what? I mean, if everything is normal, let me start taking it every alternate day. So this is again, I'm on my own. And by that time, I was starting to follow the millet diet that is prescribed in the protocol, which is, like 3 days that you eat little millet, and then all the other millets, one day each. So I was already following that, but I wasn't following it to the extent where, that I didn't realize that, when you're eating the millet, then you shouldn't be eating the other grains. That is a recommended approach, which means, because some days I would eat oats, or or if they make oat rotis, then I would eat it, which is, so I used to do that several times. I mean, like in the evenings, I mean, I'll skip the millet and I'll just eat the oat roti, because I knew oats is also a healthy thing. I mean, and it's not one of those which is, Dr. Khader says it's not a good thing, but he just mentioned that, yeah, for if everything is normal, then oats is not gonna cause you any issues, but it's just not gonna cure necessarily, your existing conditions. So I continued in that mode, and then I think again I went for another 6 months. I mean, again, this is like, I felt confident because I'm feeling okay. And I talked to one of my friends who is an endocrinologist, and he told me that even if your TSH goes like 7, 8, it's okay as long as you don't see any side effects. Meaning, and I said, what do you mean by side effects? And he said, I mean, you will know, if you, meaning like, I mean, if you're feeling anything that is like abnormal, I mean, like whether it is, hair loss or weakness or weight change, or, like, I mean, any of those kind of things. And to me, it was like, no, I mean, in fact, I mean, I'm feeling very energetic and normal. And in fact, if anything, I'm feeling better. So right, so that is around the time, this whole pandemic also started. So, which maybe also kind of turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because now I'm home, so I can focus and I don't have to depend on outside things. So around that time the pandemic started. So now it was like 2020 July. So almost 1 year since, I mean 6 months since I have now cut it down to pretty much 1/4, right? Because I'm taking half the medication every alternate day. So now this time I went for the test, and the results came, and the results were even better. I mean, like, it was 3.5 and we went to 3.4. And at that point, I told the doctor, sorry, I have not been taking your prescribed, but this is what I've been doing. And so so then she's like, so she was supportive, and she's, one of those doctors which is into Ayurveda and all that. So she understood, I mean, and um, so she's like, okay, let's, how do you want to proceed from here? And I said, let me continue with this, since it is working fine. But then I told her that, and then when I came back, I'm like, you know what, I think I'm ready to take the plunge, and I will just stop taking it. And I talked to my friend again, the endocrinologist, and he told me that it's okay, you can try it. As I said, I mean, as long as you stay within less than 10 TSH, then it's okay, and you don't have any side effects. So with that feedback, I mean, and he's a specialist, so I was like, okay, let me just stop taking it. So that was July of 2020. And so the next time I went was end of the year, and got myself tested again. And this time, it wasn't the best news, meaning, I mean, it was, the TSH had gone to about 5.4, right? So the range, as I said, is up to 4.5,
Yeah.
but my TSH had gone to 5.4. And this was like, as I said, in December, early December last year, so a few months back. So again, I talked to my friend, and he told me that, the same thing as I said. I mean, 5.4 is okay. I mean, as long as you're, you're not seeing any symptoms and things like that. So at that point, I thought, okay, let me really look closely on what are the other things I can do, because at that, until then, I was just, yeah, in the last 6 months, yeah, one of the things, sorry, I added to the list was I started taking coconut, a spoon or two of coconut, pure coconut oil, right? So I used to take it like, right after I used to get up, because that was one of the things that was, one of the oils that were recommended, right? So I used to take that, and then, since I was like, now I feel like I'm so close, so I started looking into more detail to what are the other things I can do. So the thing that I added, was also like, and I mean, which I haven't mentioned so far, is, I mean, I was also looking at some of the yoga and pranayama as well. I mean, I'm like, so that's one thing, and the other thing is, kind of like, being in the pandemic, I think it also helped me kind of focus on my mental state, in terms of, like, I realized that it's very important to stay very calm, because it's not just food. If food is not going to be the only thing. I mean, because if you are trying to fix yourself holistically, it's important that your mind is calm, and that you are 100% believing in it, right? So at that point, basically, I, started, I mean, like, made sure that, like, every day I'm doing at least a few of these asanas, like, which is, the I mean, I follow also Baba Ramdev. So he always prescribes this, Ujjayi pranayam, and the Sarvangasan, right? I mean, in the yoga, and the Halasan, because those are the asanas which kind of press your, thyroid area. And the Setu Bandhasan, I think that's the one. So he prescribes some of these asanas, and so I started doing the yoga part regularly, but the Ujjayi part, somehow, it has been difficult for me to incorporate, for one reason or the other, because when I do my yoga in the morning, everybody's asleep, and for some reason, like, that's the time that if I start making noise, then, like, everybody would be disturbed. So I used to always struggle with, like, when is the right time to do it. And so then I've recently started adding that Ujjayi to my list as well. But so that's one thing. The other thing is, I changed since December, is I've ordered some of the other oils, right? Like the peanut oil. I mean, again, from the store in Houston. I mean, which is the good quality oil that they give the one which is similar to prescribed by Dr. Khader. So then I ordered the peanut oil, the what is the Niger or how is it? Yeah, the Niger oil, or the and then the third one was the sesame seed. The sesame oil I ordered from the Whole Foods. I mean, they have a pure sesame, organic sesame oil. So then basically every week I'm switching from one oil to the other in terms of the one that I take early in the morning, like about 2 teaspoons. So that one I did, and the other thing that of course he prescribes is the kashayams, which I've a little bit struggled with. I mean, that's the one thing I've not been able to incorporate, but the one thing I do regularly every day is um, for the last few months I've started doing this moringa, right? So that is one of the kashayams. I mean, he talks about the leaves of moringa. So the moringa powder is the one I've ordered. Like, there is some doctor called Dr. Marcola. I mean, he kind of sells these good quality moringa powder. So I ordered from him. And so I take like, 1/2 a teaspoon of moringa powder in like just warm water in the morning. But I've been doing it the other way, kind of. I take the oil, and then after 30 minutes I take the moringa powder, and then in addition I take like the haldi, and what do you call the haldi is like actually a mix of haldi, and we have a few things. I mean, it has black pepper and haldi, and and then along with it, what's it called, the neem powder.
Yeah.
So recently somebody, like I was listening to somebody who was mentioning, in the morning, I mean, neem and haldi is good. So again, the whole idea is like doing those things. I mean, thinking holistically, and not just saying that, like, oh, this is good and that is good. I mean, if you're doing a few of these things in the morning. So one thing I forgot to mention is, I mean, also for last 1 year, I started also, when I was reading up on it, I also ran into this whole intermittent fasting concept. And because the intermittent fasting says that, like if you, and I always knew that most of these diseases arise from our stomach. I mean, that's the extent to which I knew. But now I read up on it and realized that how important it is to give your stomach a break and eat only as much as that stomach can easily digest. Not just eating the right quality food, but also the right quantity food, right? And so I kind of also focused on that aspect. For last 1.5 year, I have been, like once a week I started fasting. So every Monday I do a fast, like 24-hour, basically, like some Sunday night to Monday night, and then Monday night I'll basically eat something light. I mean, in the beginning I used to fast and then I would eat a lot, and then I realized that that's not serving the purpose. So then now I basically eat light on Monday night, and that way I feel like I get an opportunity for my body to kind of repair itself, which is what the whole concept of intermittent fasting is. And then in addition, I kind of like made it very and being in the pandemic, I was able to do some things which is like eat early, right? Because I mean, when I was going to work, I mean, sometimes I would be late and all that. But now that I was at home, we started eating at 6 p.m. And so 6 p.m., like by 6:30, I'm typically done with the dinner. And so from then until next day, I'm almost till 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. I mean, like, I'm basically, that's another part of the intermittent fasting, that you give yourself like 14 to 16 hours between your dinner and the next meal in the morning before you eat. So those are the things. I mean, like now I'm so habitual. I mean, that Monday, I mean, in the beginning it was a little bit tough, but The one thing I used to do regularly on the fasting days, I mean, I would eat a lot of water and lemon. I mean, like, adding the lemon to the water makes it a lot easier to be able to do the fasting. And now I'm so used to that in the morning, early morning, I used to get up and be hungry, but now, with the body, you basically train your brain so that it's not hungry anymore until, like about 10 o'clock. And then I also realized that how much more I relish the food, because when you're eating, I mean, the other thing I read upon is like, so when you're eating, you have to eat with, like treat that food like this is the prasad. So when we eat, I mean, like I always prefer not to get up and walk around and all that. And when I'm sitting, I just sit down. And then if I need anything, I ask, somebody, like, can you get me this or can you get me that? Because in the middle of the eating, I don't want to get up. So, and then typically I'm the first one who starts, because, it's like, I mean, it's a little bit too early for everybody, but by the time I'm finishing, then everybody starts. So then when I'm eating, I'm trying to keep my focus completely on, the food, and definitely, absolutely no electronics around, no, TV, absolutely not at all. I mean, so that's something we have, thankfully, we have made it as a rule at home, and nobody watches anything while we are eating. And nobody, no electronic devices are on the table when we are eating our dinner. So those are some of the additional things, because I think Dr. Khader also mentions about, when you go to sleep, in his protocol, he mentions that you should not have any electronics around you. So there are many little things that, can impact us, right? So, I mean, I'm trying to incorporate those little things as well, like, which is, like, if you have your phone around, your cell phone, I mean, I try to talk on the speaker phone. I mean, try not to, like, put your phone right next to your head, or when you're not using it, I mean, I normally put the phone in the next room, so that, and with a loud, ringtone, so that if somebody calls me, I mean, then I can go and pick up the phone, rather than just keeping it right next to me all the time. Of course, it's hard to get this, something to, for everybody else to agree, especially for the kids. But the point is that, I mean, in addition to food, in addition to, like, yeah, by the way, on the meditation part also, I mean, like, in the morning, I do spend time doing some meditation as well. I mean, so to kind of, ensure that the mind stays calm, and doing some, Kapalbhati along with that I mean, I kind of combine the two. I mean, Kapalbhati and meditation into one, which is like, when I'm doing the Kapalbhati, then I'm trying to kind of keep my focus, rather than just doing it as a manual mechanical thing. So between the mind and the food, and, like, and and exercise, I mean, the yoga and everything, I feel like, I mean, these are the different things, and I see there is no reason why we shouldn't be able to fix it. So now at this point, I'm kind of debating on when should I go back and test myself. And I feel like, there is no reason why I need to go maybe in a, for until the next of July. So I'm thinking now, I mean, the next test I will do it is, 6 months after my last test, even though it was slightly over. And even though the doctor said, yeah, come after 2 months, but I'm thinking that, I'm feeling okay. So I will probably do my next test in July and see how it goes at that time. But I'm very confident, because to me, one of the key things is, I mean, the belief, right? I mean, what, if you, which is another thing that I've read is, I mean, if you strongly believe in something, then your mind, if your mind believes in, your body automatically kind of goes in that direction. So
Yeah.
so that's a belief that I'm kind of going with. And so here, we are, I mean, like, so we'll see, I mean, like, how it goes in the next few months. But at this point, I mean, to me, I absolutely love eating millet, because, I mean, it's not like something that I feel like I'm depriving myself of anything, because along with the ambali that I make every day, and following the whole procedure, which is like making it giving it 8 hours for soaking, and then 8 to 10 hours for like fermenting and everything. So normally I will either soak it overnight and then cook it in the morning, and that is for consumption in the evening, or I will soak it in the morning and then cook it in the evening, and then so I can eat both 2 times next day.
Yeah.
And then again it basically repeat the process. And then one day a week I try to just take a break on that, and because we'll eat, I mean, but break meaning doesn't mean I'll go completely off track, but I mean break means, I mean, I'll eat sometimes like some bread or something, and which is also something I've not since bread, and even the bread, normally we take the bread which is like not the wheat bread anymore. We'll eat oat rotis, rotis made of oats and everything, and so things like that, right? I mean, so still home cooked food, but a little bit different things that we'll cook. Like we have started eating sometimes buckwheat. Buckwheat. I mean, we make like the chilas out of buckwheat and everything. By fermenting it. I mean, so those are all good things. I mean, just to keep a variety. So one day a week we'll do that, and try to do the rest of the 6 days. I try to follow this protocol. So the only thing I need to still add to my regimen, which I've not so successfully done, is the kashayams, which but part of it is also like I struggle to get those things. But as I said, I mean, though, at least the moringa powder is there, but all the other things, I mean, it's kind of not so easy to find. Plus, somehow it has just not added yet, but I may add those as well. So that's really all it is.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And see, imagine if you had added the kashayams too, who knows, the speed of attaining homeostasis would be hastened, right? Without,
Right, right.
but you're doing everything else right, which is great. All the other things that have fallen in place. And I want to ask you and everybody can jump in at some point. Just raise your hands. I'll, get the ball rolling.